Welcome everyone to the Founders Forward fundraising series. Today is September 3rd, 2021. We're in week 2 of the series. Quick refresher, every week we're sitting down with Jonathan Gandalf. He's the CEO and founder of The Juice. We're sitting down on a weekly basis, going through his seed stage fundraise, former operator, now founder, kind of first time really approaching the VC world. So digging into his psyche, the process, where he's at in the raise and how things are going. If you haven't listened to the first episode yet, I'd recommend going back and giving that a listen to understand the background and basics of the round. With that being said, welcome, Jonathan. How you doing?
Doing well, Matt. Thanks for having me again. It feels like a lot has happened in just a week. We're meeting weekly to talk, and it's a good opportunity for me to look back and gain some perspective on how quickly everything's moving.
Good. Yeah. And so I guess just as a quick recap, last week, I think we ended, your pitch deck was wrapped up. You had a list of investors you were going to start reaching out to, seeking some intros, and really hit the ground running. So I guess what's the status now after just a week, and where are things at with all of that?
Yeah, I'll address the first point of that first. The pitch deck I'm learning is never done, which is a good thing. I received some great feedback. Well, this week, I think it's very easily you hear, you should add this piece or this piece to it, and you end up Frankensteining it. So what I'm trying to do now is almost weekly, like gather all the feedback from that week, and then kind of admittedly on the weekend, I'm kind of distilling that and seeing what changes I should make kind of wholesale, as opposed to making tweaks every time I hear a tweak recommendation. So right. I'm learning the pitch deck is always evolving, which is good.
Do you guys so we get a lot of questions of small teams maybe going into their pre-seed seed. They don't have a designer or full team. So is that something, do you guys have someone on your team that's helping with that? Or is that a high alpha kind of service that they're offering? Or what does that look like on the actual design and implementation of that?
High Alpha helped us with our brand identity, but myself, I'm a marketer. I've made a lot of presentations for sales teams in the past. I'm pretty comfortable designing the deck, cool. Building the deck. So fortunate there that we haven't needed much outside help. It's something we considered, kind of taking it to the next level with some custom design, but I'm really glad we didn't do that, given how much tweaking is happening in real time. I think that would have been a lot of work and some resources for something that might be outdated pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of talk on Twitter now, especially about investors are looking at, almost sounds like, for the perfect amount of design. You don't want it to be too designer. It's like you put a bunch of money and time into it, but you don't want it to look like a third grader did it. So there's the happy medium, which sounds like you have found.
I'd like to think so, but see, I saw some pitch decks earlier this week that were, in my opinion, under-designed, but they were apparently effective. So that made me feel like, all right, we've done enough on the design front to be in a really good spot.
You were mentioning
introductions.
Introductions, yes.
Yeah, so it's been I shared with you before we hit the record button, an incredibly inefficient but necessary process. I think it's common from my understanding, but we researched, I think we had 60 plus investors that we felt like were a good fit for us. And then it is just a bunch of visiting their website, seeing who's in their portfolio that could make an introduction. And then for me, if there wasn't anybody in their portfolio I know, then it's the High Alpha network, and that's some LinkedIn research, some personal research, some kind of Googling random research. So then you're kind of mapping out those introductions, and then you're asking for people to make those introductions. And I appreciate this part of it, but those individuals you're asking to make the introduction, a lot of times they want to kind of do the double opt-in introduction where they reach. So then you're reliant on them reaching out and hearing back. So it's a lot of just like hurry up and wait. So that's, I've tried to do the hurry up this week, and then now doing some of the waiting in terms of just, now I'll need to follow up with some of those people probably next week. We did get some meetings set. Some moved very quickly. Some are moving not as quickly, but moving. And then there are some that I'll have to follow up with and just make sure they continue to move. So looking at the visible pipeline, which I know this isn't a product push podcast, but your pipeline has made it much easier.
Awesome.
I've had six meetings scheduled. We're in contact with 11 of the investors. We've asked for an introduction to 19. So those are the ones that we're kind of waiting on. And then we're still kind of researching or waiting to ask for the introduction for 17 right now.
Okay. So you've reached out to like 40-ish, and it sounds like probably half of those you've contacted, half you're waiting, and then what, 10% or a little less you've actually got a meeting scheduled with already?
That's correct. Yep. And one of those moved extremely quickly. It's actually an angel network, but they were the best. So Customer made an introduction there, which was great, as well as it's the Irish Angels. So there's a Notre Dame connection. My co-founder, he's a Notre Dame grad.
Oh, nice.
So that moved. We emailed them on Tuesday, had a meeting Wednesday morning, and we've now been invited to their quarterly on-campus pitch day later in September. So that was great, kind of an early win for us. They won't lead the round, but it was good validation that we're not too far off from the vision.
Yeah, that's exciting to get some momentum early. Know you're headed in the right direction. Going back to, so you have 60 investors, and it sounds like when you're researching, your kind of first line, obviously if you know them yourself or a co-founder knows them, you're going to reach out there. But so you're looking at their portfolio companies first and just seeing if you know a founder there that can make an introduction.
Yeah, I think the gold is a customer. Guru is one of our customers. There's several investors in our I would even consider them tier one investors that have also invested in Guru. So even though our buyer at Guru isn't the right person to make that introduction, trying to navigate that relationship to see if she can introduce me to somebody at Guru that would be able to make that introduction. I think that happy customer introduction is gold.
That's super smart. I think we see a lot of founders underutilize their customers for sure. They don't really think to lean on. And then just other founders too. I think a lot of the time, if you're a degree or two away from a founder in a portfolio company, they're probably going to help you.
So I've been fortunate with that. Yao at Malomo, who I know you guys likely know, and then Lindsay Checkma Casted, RJ at Pattern 89. That's been a great resource as well as fellow founders.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear, and that's such a good. Just like way, and that way, if there is an investor that they're like, maybe wouldn't work with them too, it's doing a little bit of early due diligence on your end too.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been. I know they were likely helped by other founders when they were fundraising. It's something that really grateful for their support and something I look forward to paying it forward when somebody hopefully sees an investor that's invested in the juice and wants an introduction, right? It's just, I think that's a cool aspect of the community of entrepreneurs and founders.
Absolutely. And then to how like you're actually reaching out now for these intros. So it sounds like double opt-in intro, which is pretty standard, but are you sending along like a quick blurb? Are you sending your deck, or what exactly are you sharing with the people that are hopefully making an introduction?
I love that there are literally millions of dollars floating around in this space, and like blurb has become a like industry accepted term.
Yes.
But yes, we're sending a blurb. I think it's 3 sentences of who we are. I'm also including, where it makes sense, milestones. So I'm saying we've got 7 pre-launch enterprise customers, over 1,100 members. That also highlights a little bit of the marketplace dynamic. And then I send a link to our platform because I'm really proud of our product at this stage. And I think that's something we should use to our advantage and helps them understand it. I've sent a few people who have requested it. I've used, again, Visible's Decks tool to send a link to the deck. And then it's nice. You can see how engaged they are in that. But those have been kind of the standard resources.
Cool. So I love including the actual product. So Founders Forward, we interview investors every week. I think we've done 8 or 9 so far. And we'll just ask, what do you like to see in a cold email or in outreach from a founder? And we'll just hear like, if you have a product that functions, we want to see it. That's the quickest way to build conviction.
On that note, sorry to cut you off, but so we're saving some tier 1 of like the top of tier 1 investors that we would love to be involved with. What we're doing is we're actually uploading all of their content to our platform, and then we're going to try to use that as a way to get a foot in the door with
Oh,
them.
that's smart.
Yeah, so
That's
we'll
like some
see.
account-based marketing, but for investors.
Exactly. So we're working on getting them into the platform this week. That could be a fun follow up for this podcast, is how that works or didn't work
Yeah, I'm gonna make
in the
note of
future.
that. Do you send the deck? Do you not? How do you send it? So are you sharing the entire deck when they ask? Are you sharing like a light version and like removing sensitive information, or just kind of going for it?
I'm sharing like the full deck right now. Admittedly, I don't think that's right. I'd like to send a shorter version that leads them to ask for more. That's actually something I want to work on this week, is kind of a short, medium, long deck. I just haven't had the time to do that right now, so I'm sending the full thing. I don't think that's right. I think it'd be better if I could send them the short version. It kind of leaves them wanting a little bit more.
Yep.
I plan to work on that this weekend, actually.
Cool. Yeah, I know not to keep mentioning our podcast, but Brett Broll, who's the partner at Bread and Butter Ventures, works with Techstars as well. I think it's a 4-slide deck that he likes to see like in cold outreach and like warm intros, just like enough to pique your interest, but enough to have some context and be able to have a conversation. Switching gears, I know you really have been only heads down kind of fundraising, actively reaching out for about a week now. Has it impacted your other day to day? I know you guys launched, I think, 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago formally. So you've got a lot on your plate. Has fundraising changed that or impacted it so far?
It has. It impacts my calendar, obviously, and just the quantity of meetings being set. B, I'm not as able to be supportive of the team in the day to day. Like I'm looking at my to-do list now. There's a few things like sales support wise that I would have loved to have spent more time on this week. And I just didn't have the time to do that. As I said, this process is incredibly inefficient, but necessary. Fortunately, we have an amazing team. So they've made it possible for me to dedicate a lot of time and energy to this process. So really fortunate for that, but it has certainly impacted my ability and flexibility to support some of the other things happening in the business.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you too taking the time on top of everything to talk every week. One more question. We're going to do your confidence level 1 to 10 every week. You were 6 last week. Where are we at this week?
6.5.
Okay. Headed in the
Slightly
right
more
direction.
confident. The Irish Angels thing was helpful, but like I said, you hear a lot of no's before you hear that first yes. We're trending in the right direction, but still kind of in that a little bit of mystery stage. So I think next week we'll continue to creep it up as we hopefully have some meetings and more understanding of what the actual process looks like.
There we go. Well, thank you again, Jonathan, for the time. We will talk next week.